Thanks for joining us here on Go Local Live at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm joined with Kate Masury, who's the Program Director at Eating with the Ecosystem. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, this is awesome. So we're glad that you could be here today. Eating with the Ecosystem has been around for a couple years, but we just wanted to get in touch with you, see how things are going over there, and talk to us just a little bit about the program. So why don't you just explain to people what the mission is?
Yeah, sure. So we actually started as an educational dinner series. So before we were a nonprofit, it was kind of a fun educational dinner series that our founder, Sarah Schumann, started at local restaurants in Rhode Island, where she brought together local fishermen, local scientists, and then, of course, chefs, to kind of teach people about our local seafood and the importance of eating a wide variety of species and taking care of the ecosystems that are producing our food and supporting our local fishermen. And so she brought all those people together, and we had these great, delicious dinners, and people were a big fan. And so we started kind of promoting and expanding our mission beyond that. And so we officially became a nonprofit in 2014, and since then we've continued to do that work to support our local ecosystems, promote the seafood that they produce, and support our local fishermen at the same time.
And I find it, you did that pretty quickly, because when did you start, 2012?
2014 was when we officially became a nonprofit,
And then nonprofit, but it goes back a couple years before that, but to be able to grow and expand, it was pretty quick, and so now you've established yourself and done a lot of great work, but still continuing those dinner series.
Yes.
So I think that's neat. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about what you promote, and what you promote a place-based approach to sustaining New England's wild seafood. Can you explain to me a little bit about what that means? Because it's different than other people's approaches.
It is different. So a lot of other kind of sustainable seafood organizations or organizations that talk about seafood in general, they'll talk about, the biggest question that consumers kind of ask us and ask everybody is, what fish should I eat? And so the answer that they give is, eat this one particular type of fish, or don't eat this other type of fish, which basically tells you these fish are sustainable, these fish aren't.
Yeah.
And so for us, it didn't really make sense because our fisheries management here in the U.S. is geared towards making sure that our fisheries are sustainable. And so all the fish that our local fishermen are catching are therefore sustainable, as long as we take care of our ecosystems that are producing our fish. And so eating with the ecosystem kind of takes what we call a place-based approach, which means we take care of the ecosystems and we eat all of our local species, not just a few select ones, because that's going to change kind of over time. What species are abundant depends on seasons, it depends on bigger kind of environmental changes, and it also depends on fishing pressure. And so even if you have a really abundant species, but you send everybody out to go eat that one fish, then you start to kind of maybe see declines in those populations. And so we're really about supporting our ecosystems by eating a wide variety of species and creating kind of markets for all of them.
Okay.
And you can eat them in different proportions. So species that are more abundant, you eat more of. Species that are less abundant, you then eat less of.
So what I found interesting is because going through, you have these 5 anchors that kind of explain how you work and ways to go through and promote and change. One of the things that I was reading is our fish and the species that are here are likely going to change because our ecosystems are changing. I'll give you an example. Something I read is that we're probably going to see some more blue crab, right?
Yep.
So the way that we are looking at our ecosystem, what we're eating, we kind of have to grow and evolve and change because our waters, our ecosystems are growing and evolving and changing. So how do we get people here who have lived here their whole lives, have eaten things, this way their whole lives? How do we get people to change the way they're eating? You've been going at this for a while. How do we do it? Is it working?
So one of the things that we like to do is just general education kind of with consumers about what species do we actually have here.
Yeah.
A lot of people have no idea that we catch over 100 different species just here in Rhode Island. So there's a wide variety of species that you could be eating, and so
we probably only eat 2, right?
Yeah, we eat maybe a few of
them.
But most of the stuff that people have no idea that we could be eating, and so we do a lot of education just about what are our local species and how do we kind of support our local ecosystems by eating all of these species. But we also do, a lot of this kind of things that people are intimidated by with seafood is they don't know how to cook it at home, or they don't want to try something new because what if they don't like it? And so we do a bunch of the educational dinner series like we talked about, where people can try these species for the first time, prepared by a professional chef in a delicious way. And so it's kind of low risk and ends up being a lot of fun to try new things that way. And then for cooking things at home, we also do educational cooking classes at Hope in Maine and Warren. So it's not too far from Providence, and we bring in professional chefs and we'll demonstrate how to, with each whole fish, how to break it down, how to use it in a couple different ways, and then you get to sit down and enjoy the meal that you learned how to make. You get to make new fish friends, and also we have local wine from Newport Vineyards at it, so it's kind of a lot of fun. It's a fun evening, but also really educational. You get to try new things and pick up new cooking skills as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's helping in any way? Do you feel like that your outreach is making any difference at all? I mean, it's tough. Like, you know, you've been around for a couple of years, but you know, outreach, you can only do so much to help. It's going to be a long time. Yeah. Do you feel like at least you're making some kind of difference?
We do, yeah. So we're a small organization,
yeah.
So it's particularly tough for us because we can only, you know, be in so many places at once. But we try to partner with a lot of other organizations to kind of spread our message. And we also are doing this project right now with the University of Rhode Island, but we have a citizen science project going on. And so we have about 85 citizen scientists from across New England, and their job is to look at the availability of our local seafood in the marketplace. And so every week they get assigned four random New England species, and they have to go search for them in the store. And if they find one or more of them, they choose which one they want to buy, and they take it home, and they cook with it. And so our citizen scientists have been going into markets every week and asking for things like scup, or bluefish, or skate, squid, all kinds of things. And so they'll go in and they'll ask, and because they've been asking, our markets have been telling them, like, we're going to start carrying more local species because you come in every single week asking for local fish. And so they're actually seeing changes just from the few weeks that they've been doing this.
That's great. So when we're going out, we're going to the market, and we are, or we're going to restaurants, whatever, and we're saying, I want something local. Is it okay if it, like, what defines local? Is it only Rhode Island? Is it only Narragansett Bay? Or is it okay to get Atlantic, North Atlantic? What defines local? What makes it okay if we're going for local?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's definitely can be a personal thing. I mean, depending on where you are and like what you feel is local, and it also kind of depends on the fishery, because certain fisheries, they're going to go offshore farther to get their fish. Other ones, they're going to be caught right in Narragansett Bay, and that feels very local. And so I would say we like to talk about it, you know, if you're in Rhode Island, try to, you know, get Rhode Island fish, but it's totally okay to get, you know, North Atlantic, New England kind of fish as well. With our citizen scientists, they're looking for New England caught species.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
and so it's, you know, regional, kind of what's closest to you, because it's going to depend for different fisheries how far the boats have to go. Yeah. And so we're okay with you eating kind of a wide variety of New England species.
Okay. I mean, because everything I've learned, you know, I've tried to talk about sustainable fish as much as possible, eating sustainable, and everybody says talk to the people that if you're ordering out, talk to the people, say, where is this from? Sometimes people don't know, and then that's a sign. Talk to, you know, the people behind the counter. If you're at the store, ask them where it's from, where it was caught, how it was caught. Just start asking questions. But then sometimes people will say, well, North Atlantic. And then I start thinking, well, is that good enough?
So it's like a personal preference thing. Is it good enough for you? And as you get kind of more educated about your species, part of what we do is we teach people kind of all the cool facts about where your species live and how they interact with other species as well. And so as you kind of get more educated about your species, then you can kind of gear that more like, is that good enough for you? Maybe not. Maybe it is. It kind of depends. Like if you have a highly migratory species, then maybe that's all right. If you have a species that it could be caught right here and they're also getting it from farther north, maybe like you want to get more of the local one.
Okay, great. As we kind of wrap up here, you have a couple new things coming up. You just started the fall 2017 season of School of Fish cooking classes, so those are great. And then you're starting something new called Gills and Grapes. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's a new dinner that we're doing with Newport Vineyards, and so it'll be held right at the vineyards downstairs where they have all the big wine containers. And we're going to be partnering with them. Chef Andy Texera is preparing a really delicious meal, multi-course. He just sent me like the preliminary menu, and so we're really excited. It will feature delicious, all locally caught seafood, and then we have local fishermen right from Newport, actually. Al Eagle's coming to speak kind of about what it's like in the fishing industry and what they do and the importance of kind of supporting them as members of our community. And then we'll be providing education there about all the species that we're going to be eating, so it should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it, and hopefully you can come back and talk to us a little bit more about this continuing program and all the good work that you're doing to continue education and also provide delicious meals on how we can all eat better, do better, prepare better on sustainable fishery in Rhode Island and New England as well. So, Kate, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this has been really fun and educational as well with Eating with the Ecosystem. Check them out.